You've got a limited amount of dollars, you want to build a budget home gym, but you're coming from a commercial gym and love machines. In my opinion, this was inspired by one of the best chest machines of all time, the Paramount Total Chest. This is the GMWD 3-in-1 chest press machine, also does shoulder press, version 7. This is a budget-ended, multi-use, pretty compact press machine, and in my opinion, is the ultimate budget press machine currently on the market. Let's do a review. Hey guys, this is Coop from Budget Gym Co-op. Welcome. If this is your first time here at this channel, we review budget gym equipment. Our goal is to help you build a home gym as cheaply as possible. I also do reviews over at our other channel, Garage Gym Reviews, but we wanted to create a channel just for those that wanted budget-ended equipment because you won't stop asking me about it. And so today we're reviewing this. This is the GMWD. Let me know in the comments what GMWD stands for. Wrong answers. But we've reviewed, actually on our other channel, Garage Gym Reviews, a $200 version of this machine, which with tariffs now it may be more, but a less expensive version. So if you'd like to see that, we'll put a link below the like button to that machine. It's actually a really good machine. But one of the things that I said in that review was I wanted the ability for this back post to adjust up and down, because suddenly you go from a fixed mechanism that has much less versatility to now the ability to do many different movements at many different angles. The hydraulics are actually pretty nice. So I'm gonna walk through this machine, tell you the pros and cons, what I think about it versus other machines on the market, including their other machines. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see any other press machines in the budget category. First, to the overall design and build. In the intro, I said this was based in some way on the Paramount Total Chest. If you look it up on Google, you're probably not even gonna find anything on it except for used machines. The reason is Paramount's not even a company anymore. Also, it's like a rare piece, takes up a lot of space, but everyone that has it absolutely loves it. The reason is it was designed, they call it the Total Chest, to do multiple movements. So it's like one compact machine, but does all different movements, which commercial gyms hate, and the reason that they went out of business because they want just one machine, but for home gym, makes a lot more sense. Unfortunately, Paramount was too early. But now we have GMWD, baby. And GMWD took the idea of the Total Chest, and the reason the Total Chest was so nice is due to this, the rotary movement. So this is a plate-loaded machine, but many cheap plate-loaded machines work on a fixed plane, meaning there's no convergence. It just goes up and down straight. So if you've ever used a cheap chest press machine, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, it's just here and then here, or here and then here. Whenever you do a dumbbell press, what do you like about a dumbbell press? Right here, baby. Having a very deep stretch that then culminates at the very top in a squeeze is incredible. It's one reason chest press machines are so well loved and vary from like a typical bench press with a barbell. The GMWD does just that. So let me show you, this is the flat press orientation. I get on this bad boy. It's very, and this is for most chest press machines, not just the GMWD, is the fact that it really simulates not just a press, but more of like a fly press. So you're getting just a absolute ridiculous stretch at the bottom, and then as you come up, it converges. The reason that's beneficial is you're getting basically the heaviest end of the movement at the bottom. As these lift up, it gets lighter, so it's like the ideal strength curve built into the machine, and it's a budget machine. Now, the overall dimensions, this is not a really tiny machine. Honestly, it's gonna take up a similar amount of space as what you would in your rack. A lot of it is the fact that you have to have some room on each side to put plates, but you also have to factor for the bench that's out in front. The total length is about 65 inches, and then width is 60 inches. I'd also add, another foot on either side to put plates on. But the reason that I could still recommend this for a home gym is the fact that it does so many different movements, and honestly, everybody agrees chest day is the most fun day. So having machines for chest day is pretty good. Now, one dimension that does matter and isn't that great is actually the bench height. So the IPF standard for benches, what you find pretty much every high-end adjustable bench at today is somewhere between like 16.5 to 17 inches. This guy is about 19 inches off the ground. So if you're not very tall, and I'm about 5'9" and a half, then what happens is you kind of feel like a kid at a tall toilet or something, where your legs are kind of just like dangling a little bit. So when you go back, you're not really, like my toes touch, but I'm not really able to drive super far into that. I think they do that largely so that you can have the multiple movements, but something to be aware of. And then the other dimension that's not that great is the actual bench gap. The bench gap is pretty weak. It's pretty wide. Not only that, because the padding's not super high up, you actually feel this metal bar against your back when you're using it, which isn't great. But one of the things that is nice, I don't know if they thought through this, but this back pad is actually pretty long. So I can bench on this in the flat orientation without any of my posterior touching this bar. Now, loading capacity. They suggest a max user capacity of 600 pounds. So any of you mass monsters out there, you're gonna be able to use this without problem. And then the arms are 300 pounds total max weight. Now, the arm itself weighs about 15.5 pounds start weight for each one. So you're actually starting at a really light weight. If you combine them, it's actually lighter than a 45-pound barbell. So if you have somebody who's not very strong, they wanna have a lower start weight, this accommodates you just fine, which can be a separator from some jammer arms that are on the market that some people use with all the attachments, where the start weight is actually much higher than that. So pretty nice feature. The stability of the bench largely comes from its length, but also the fact that you have weight posts on the back. Stability really matters, especially if you're going heavy. I will say that this whole mechanism here, as you can expect, does add some instability, and the tolerances, they're kind of what you'd expect for their price point, so they're not just amazing. You can kind of see the movement of the arms and things like that, but you're not doing like explosive movements typically on a chest press machine. You're focusing on hypertrophy, time under tension, those sorts of principles. So because of that, you're going slow. If you go slow, there's no problem. But I will say the more weight you put on here, the more unstable it feels. But I do like that they have the built-in plate posts, both for storing your plates, but also for adding extra stability. Just recognize the plate post sleeve on this for the actual machine is about 9 inches. Most barbells are 16 to 17 inches, somewhere in there. So really, if you're using bumper plates, like high temps, the max you're gonna put on here is maybe 245. Okay, to the adjustability. So this is the flat orientation, but it can go all the way up to a top orientation for military press. Now, one thing you'll notice, I'm not touching this and it's still going up. That's both a good thing and a problem. Here's why. The reason that it goes up on the good side is the fact that it has this hydraulic right here. So it's pushing up on its own. Maybe because I'm lazy, but I don't always want to take the plates off when I'm switching from like a flat to an incline. So what I've been doing is if I have just 45s on there, I kind of just lift it up a little bit and it goes up pretty well. Not a big deal, it's just kind of slow. But if you really want to change it optimally, take the plates off and then it will rise on its own. But the other reason that it's going up on its own is because this pop pin keeps freaking sticking and I hate it. So when I pull that pop pin out, you can see it's basically there, and then you gotta try and like fumble it, get it through the hole, and then it's in there. So not a huge deal, just something to be aware of. One thing I've basically realized is just don't pull it out very far, and then it'll go on. They have a ton of holes for adjustability here on the back, but the absolute top hole, you can't use at all. So you're basically limiting your ROM even further. I will say, for those of you that have really long arms, or you're probably above like 6'1", 6 foot, on military press, you're gonna have trouble reaching the absolute top of your ROM. One reason for that is the fact that you can't use the top hole. But the other reason is even if you could use the top hole, you would kind of be stretching it pretty close. So if you're fine not reaching full ROM at the top, you'll be about here. I don't think it's a deal breaker, but something to be aware of specifically on the military press. The other problem though is the fact that they have no markings. There's no markings on the back post to tell you where you're at. Because of that, you're basically just trying to figure out every time you use it, which one you're gonna use. And you can't write in your logbook like hole number 1 without like, counting them out. Very annoying. So ideally, it would be like laser cut or laser etched. That can get expensive. At the very least, I would love it if GMD just offered an optional sticker pack so you could just put a sticker there just so you have an idea of where you're at. The same thing though is for the bench. The bench also adjusts like the back post. So the way that this works is you have a pop pin, you pull, and then pull the bench pad up and it glides back, knocks into a pin. Same issue as the back post. There's not any markings to tell you which angle you're at. This is the other annoyance, is the angles are so freaking random. One is 0 degree. Second one, 19 degrees. Third one, 35 degrees. Fourth one, 48.5 degrees. Fifth one, 62.5 degrees, and top one, 70.5 degrees. I'm not remembering freaking half degrees. Give me full numbers. It would be superior if they just offered me an option so I could see exactly which hole I'm at so that I can ride it. So minor and very easily fixable, but worth calling out. One recommendation I would have as you're using them is some sort of yoga block. These are a squat wedge. You lift up and then place it in there. That way when you lift the arm, it falls off. Instead of at the very bottom of the rep, you can start higher up. So basically, I'm gonna lift off, they fall off, and then now I can do the movements. And I will say, one thing I just realized, we must have max stretch. Now I'm in the machine. The stretch at the bottom is incredible. Feels amazing. It's the heaviest part of the movement. It's also a very extreme stretch. It feels very similar to like a fly. This is how good chest machines are. The actual feeling of the machine, which I think what most people building a budget gym are looking for, is functionality over everything else. Is this the cheapest way that you can get to your end goal of being absolutely ridiculously jacked? And I'd say yeah. The stability is good enough. The arms are independent, so you can do one arm if you wanted, but the stretch, the strength curve, oh, it feels just so good. There's multiple handles, parallel grip further back, parallel grip further forward, or neutral grip, which hits more of the triceps. But for chest and shoulders, these wide grips back here, oh, they feel so good. It would be nice if it extended a little bit further, I think, so you could be a little bit closer grip, but generally, the function of this is amazing. That's flat. Let me just show you what it looks like in the military press orientation. This is the chest press orientation. Now, one reminder, the back pad angle is 70.5 degrees. Most back pads you would use for military press, a lot of them are just 90 degrees, but the nicer ones are about 85 degrees. You can sometimes get away with 75 degrees. So the reason I'm saying that, it's a little bit more chest heavy than a lot of military presses. And you could shore that up maybe if you use these front handles and kind of sit forward and tighten your core a little bit. You could even put like a back pad up there to make you a little bit more upright. So it works fine for shoulder press. Shoulder press isn't a standout. It is a little bit more chest heavy because you're up more of a back angle, but it still works pretty good. So just to show you these wide handles, lift up, you'll see the blocks fall, and then you can press. Now you can see if I'm pressing all the way up, extending my traps, that's where I'm at. But when I come down, full stretch, oh, you can just feel it, feels amazing. And then back up. It gets lighter as you go up, perfect strength curve. Oh, it's good. Okay, so there's obviously some things that I'd change and update. I talked about a lot of them. One that I will say very quickly, and I may try and make a mod on this. If you would like to see that, let me know in the comments. But the bench pad isn't great. You know, it's a cheapy foam pad, cheapy vinyl. You could probably change this out for something from like Rep Fitness, Titan, or Bells of Steel with their grippy vinyl if you really wanted to. But one thing that would be kind of cool on this guy is if you could replace this bench pad apparatus with an adjustable bench. So instead, you basically roll up an adjustable bench and use it. There's probably some option on the market that could make it, or if GMWD could come out with their own, and then you have front feet, you use the weight on the back basically to keep it level and from moving. You then have a piece of equipment that takes up way less space, and you can use your adjustable bench for dumbbells and your rack and other purposes too, versus just this one right here. So if they were gonna make an update, that's another thing I'd add. That'd be kind of cool, and I think really helpful for a lot of homes. And it could also be cheaper because this probably adds a lot of money. So do I recommend it? Absolutely. The price point, I will say, especially with tariffs, is getting a little bit up there. It's 600 bucks right now. And you know, GMWD, like a lot of the more cheaper budget-ended companies, constantly have sales. And a lot of them are fake sales, but they'll have discounts and things like that. So watch out for those. It's a way that you can get it for cheaper. I'd also like check, we'll put a couple links both to Amazon and directly to GMWD where you can check out both and see which one's cheapest. But generally speaking, I really like this machine. I personally, if it was in my garage, I would get this over their cheaper version. If you just want the straight, most budget-ended version, get the one without the adjustable back. But I do think it's worth the cost for the extra added use of things like military press. The incline feels good, and honestly, the overall movement just feels vastly superior to the cheaper one and many other chest press machines that are on the market. Okay, what would you like to see us review next? Let us know in the comments. This has been Coop from Budget Gym Co-op. We'll see you next time.